Have you ever felt that universal challenge? Navigating life's biggest decisions.
Oh, definitely.
Like picking a university major or figuring out a career path, especially now with just so much information everywhere.
It's overwhelming.
Huh.
How do you make choices that actually lead to satisfaction? Not just a paycheck, but, feeling like you've accomplished something.
Exactly. It
Oh.
often feels like guesswork, doesn't it?
Yeah, a lot of the time.
Well, welcome to the deep dive. This is where we try to sort of cut through all that noise.
Hmm.
We aim to bring you the really important bits of knowledge, the key insights, hopefully tailored just for you.
Like a shortcut to getting properly informed.
Pretty much. Think of it that way, helping you spark your own strategic thinking.
Feels good.
So today we're doing a really fascinating deep dive. We're tracing the journey of one specific person,
Okay.
all the way from their high school days back in Guangxi, China,
Hmm.
right up to their current job. They're a quantitative researcher at a hedge fund in New York City.
Wow, okay. A quant. So lots of math and data and finance.
Exactly, using advanced math, data analysis to help make complex financial decisions. And our insights, they actually come straight from an interview.
Ah, okay. First-hand account.
Yep, where this person really candidly reflects on their past choices, how they got here, and what their life is like now.
So what can we expect to get out of this?
Well, you'll get a unique look into the thinking behind those big educational and career moves, the strategy,
Mm-hmm.
plus the reality of working in one of those high-stakes finance jobs. And maybe the most surprising part, a really humble self-assessment of what sounds like a very successful path.
Interesting. Humble despite the success.
Right. It's a great story about blending, personal interest with practical thinking. Lots of takeaways, I think, for anyone figuring out their own path.
Sure. Where do we start? High school.
Let's do it. Let's start right at the foundation. High school. The sources describe it as, well, incredibly demanding.
How demanding are we talking?
Imagine this. 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. every day. Daily tests. And living at a boarding school the whole time.
Wow. That is intense. That's more like a boot camp.
It really sounds like it. But here's the thing. The person remembers it as a time of really pure, strong friendships. Called their classmates battle buddies.
Battle buddies. That makes sense in a way. Shared struggle.
What do you make of that? Such an intense environment, yet fostering these incredibly strong bonds.
Well, it's striking, isn't it? That even with all that academic pressure, the human connection, those pure friendships, are what stands out in memory.
Yeah.
It really shows how shared adversity, going through something tough together, can forge incredibly strong bonds. Almost like a survival mechanism, but clearly a genuine source of strength, too.
It definitely paints a picture of intense dedication. So, okay, you've got this rigorous background, time for university. You'd think maybe they had one clear passion driving their choice of major.
But probably not that simple.
Not according to the source. It was much more pragmatic. They were a science student, yes, but the main things driving the decision: high school scores and what they saw as the best employment prospects.
Less practicalities.
Exactly. They listened to friends, family, the general buzz, which at the time in China was that finance was a really good career path.
That sounds very familiar. So many young people make those huge choices based on external factors, right?
Totally.
Your friends, what your parents think, what society says is a safe or good career.
Yeah.
It's often less about some deep inner calling at that age.
Yeah. More about making the best call with the info you have then.
Precisely. You're influenced by the world around you.
And so, based on that, they started a finance degree. It just perfectly shows how many initial paths get charted, doesn't it? A mix of what you're good at and what seems like a smart opportunity.
A very relatable starting point.
But then, things started to shift a bit.
Okay.
Even though they chose finance for practical reasons, they soon realized it wasn't quite scratching that intellectual itch.
Especially coming from a science background.
Exactly. They loved math, and they felt the science part of their finance major just wasn't deep enough. Something was missing.
That's a key moment, isn't it? That self-awareness kicking in.
Yeah.
It wasn't like they hated finance, but they recognized they needed more. More rigor, more analysis.
Right. It wasn't a rejection, more like identifying a gap. And this led to a really strategic move, not just a vague feeling.
So what do?
Well, driven by this growing interest and already thinking ahead about maybe studying abroad, specifically in something like financial engineering or financial mathematics.
Okay, very specialized fields.
Very. And they knew those fields needed serious math skills, so they proactively added a second major in mathematics.
Wow. Okay, that's not just a whim, that's a calculated move.
Totally calculated. They saw what they needed for the future they were starting to envision, and they went out and built that foundation.
That's such a powerful takeaway for anyone listening. It's not just about changing your mind, it's about strategically building the skills you need for where you want to go next.
Yes, it's that blend again. Genuine curiosity meeting practical planning, building a bridge from where they were to where they wanted to be.
So they knew they needed math, and they went and got it.
Smart. And the strategic thinking continued. The decision to actually go abroad for a master's, specifically in financial mathematics in the U.S., that was just as planned out.
Why the U.S. specifically?
Well, at that time, that kind of specialized field financial math was apparently less common, less developed in China.
Oh, okay.
But in the U.S., it was a big deal, highly developed, lots of great job opportunities. So it was a perfect match for their growing interest in data and science, and it lined up with a clear career goal in a place where that career path was strong.
So it's about finding where your specific interest actually has the best opportunities, even if it means looking globally.
I think so. It shows real awareness of the market, where the demand is for those specialized skills, finding that sweet spot where what you love doing meets what the world, or at least a part of it, really needs.
Even if it means moving halfway across the world. That takes foresight.
It really does. So let's fast forward. All that planning paid off. Our subject is now exactly where they aimed, a quantitative researcher and developer.
At the hedge fund in New York. Yep. Day to day, they're building complex mathematical models, creating tools, working closely with fund managers on big decisions.
Investment strategies, managing risk, optimizing portfolios,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. Exactly. It's described as very scientific work, but right in the heart of finance.
Now, you hear New York hedge fund, and you immediately think crazy hours, right?
Yeah.
Non-stop pressure cooker.
You do, but they actually clarified this. Generally, it's a regular work week, Monday to Friday, maybe 8 a.m. to 6 or 7 p.m.
Okay, that's maybe longer than some jobs, but not the 20-47 grind some might picture.
Right. They did say it's considered longer than many other industries. And importantly, there's flexibility to put in extra hours if needed. You know, if tasks pile up, the focus is on getting the work done right.
Makes sense. But what about the pressure? Even with regular hours, finance is known for being high stress.
Oh, they acknowledge that directly. The whole industry is more demanding. Markets change fast. Priorities shift constantly. You always have to adapt.
So it is high pressure.
Yes, but, and this is key, they described the pressure they personally feel as acceptable overall.
Acceptable. That's an interesting word choice.
Isn't it? It's a very candid, grounded take. Like, yes, it's tough, it's demanding, it's not for everyone, but for them, it's manageable. It's part of the deal in a high-reward field.
That's such a crucial perspective for anyone thinking about finance, understanding the trade-offs. It's not just about the money or the intellectual challenge. Can you handle that pace, that pressure?
Exactly, and finding it acceptable suggests they've found a way to balance it, maybe through engagement with the work itself.
Or maybe just having the right temperament for it.
Could be. Now, for anyone listening who is curious about this field, what does career growth look like for a quant? Where do you go from there?
Good question.
Well, the sources outline basically two main paths that emerge.
Okay.
First, you can broaden your scope, move up the ladder, become a team lead, maybe a manager, get involved in developing more products, overseeing bigger projects or teams.
So more management, wider responsibility.
Yep. The second path is about deepening your focus.
How so?
You pick a specific product or a niche area within the industry and just go really deep. Become a true expert. Eventually, maybe even making independent investment decisions yourself or getting into trading directly.
Ah, so specializing versus managing. Makes sense. Different paths for different skills and preferences.
Exactly. It shows there isn't just one way to succeed or progress in that field.
Good to know there are options.
Definitely. Now, let's get to the reflections. This is where I found it really, really insightful.
Okay. Looking back on it all.
Yeah. Looking back on the whole journey, high school, uni, the move, the current career, the individual said something pretty remarkable. They feel there's nothing to complain about.
Nothing to complain about. That's quite content.
And when asked to score the journey 0 to 10, they gave it an 8.
An 8 out of 10. Solid. Not perfect, but very good.
Exactly. And the reason? Because they felt they'd pretty much achieved their goals, step by step. They use this phrase, bijao tashi.
Which means?
Roughly, like relatively steady, grounded, down to earth, the path felt solid.
That makes sense. A steady, planned progression leading to a feeling of accomplishment. An 8 feels right for that, acknowledging the success, without claiming perfection.
But then, here's the twist.
Oh,
If they had a time machine, right, could go back and talk to their high school self, the advice wouldn't be relax or enjoy the ride.
what would it be?
It would be work harder, try a bit more.
Really?
Yep.
Even with an 8 out of 10 and nothing to complain about?
Yes, they genuinely believed there was always room for improvement. Maybe pushing for even higher scores on the Gaokao, that super tough Chinese college entrance exam.
Aiming for an even better university, perhaps?
Exactly. It's fascinating, isn't it? To achieve so much, feel genuinely good about the journey, rated an 8, but still think, I could have pushed harder. There was potential for more.
Wow. That really makes you think. How do we square that deep satisfaction, that 8 out of 10, nothing to complain about, with that persistent, almost innate human drive for more, for improvement?
Right. It's not like they seem unhappy or regretful. It's different.
No, it doesn't sound like dissatisfaction. It sounds more like an enduring aspiration, a recognition that even when things go well, maybe even really well, there's always this sense of untapped potential.
Yeah, maybe the pursuit of better isn't always about fixing flaws. Maybe sometimes it's about maximizing what's already good, pushing that 8 towards a 9 or 10, even if the 8 feels fine.
A paradox of satisfaction, content, yet always striving.
So let's recap quickly. We've unpacked this journey. Started with very practical choices, right?
Yeah. Job prospects, scores.
Then pivoted, driven by developing interests and some really smart strategic planning.
Adding that math major, choosing the U.S. for the master's.
Which led to this demanding but clearly fulfilling career in quantitative finance. We heard about the day-to-day realities, the pressure.
The acceptable pressure.
Right. And finally, that really nuanced, humble self-reflection. Achieving goals, feeling good about it, yet still seeing room for more.
A really grounded perspective on success.
So, as you, listening, reflect on this deep dive, here's something to maybe chew on. If you had to rate your journey so far, what score would you give it?
Tough question.
And maybe even more interestingly, if you had that time machine, what advice would your current self give your younger self?
Would it be work harder or something else entirely?
How does that internal drive, that pursuit of better, even when you are mostly satisfied, how does that shape the decisions you're making right now, the goals you're setting for tomorrow?
A lot to think about there.
Definitely. Well, thank you for joining us on this deep dive. We really hope exploring this journey has given you some new insights.
Or at least spark some fresh thinking about your own path.
Whatever stage you happen to be on. Thanks for listening.